very warm welcome to all of you, all of you who have been attending our conferences yesterday and today. And this is the evening panel for today, exceptional customer service. Before we have a very eminent set of panelists with us, representing diverse set of firms. Before we move on, let me give you a quick context, and then I will introduce our panelists for today and initiate the deliberations. Sorry to keep you waiting. We have some technical issue, and we are starting now. Exceptional customer service is the unreserved commitment today to provide the highest level of product or service to every person, irrespective of the circumstances. In simple terms, it means do anything and everything within your capabilities to make your to delight your users and engage them in a new and exciting ways. Technology has been helping us meet some of the challenges. There are newest technologies which are transforming the experiences and enabling businesses to reach out to their customers in a more meaningful and impactful manner. However, the journeys are also marked with some challenges. Technologies like AI and automation, while they are enabling organizations to uncover new ways to understand customers better and deliver a truly cohesive experiences, there are also challenges in ensuring relevant content and interfaces at every customer touch point. Organizations are learning from their experiences, and last 1.5 to 2 years have been truly instrumental in where most of the organizations are trying to uncover the treasure trove of data and trying to break down organization silos to enhance customer experience. So today with us to deliberate more on this and hear expert inputs on the best ways forward to provide exceptional customer service, we have our esteemed set of panelists, including Mr. Sanjay Kotha, Joint President and Group CIO, Adani Enterprises. Hi, sir.
Hi, Jitinder. Sorry, I was on mute. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for joining in. Mr. Ikhlaq Bari, CIO, Jubilant Foodworks. Hi, sir. A very warm welcome to you.
Hi, Jatinder. Good afternoon or good evening to everyone who's listening.
Hi. Mr. KRC Murthy, Senior Vice President, Head of Information Technology at Kotak Mahindra Bank.
Hi,
Hi, sir.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me.
And Mr. Deepak Bhosle, Head IT of Asian Paints. Hi, sir.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for the invite.
Thank you, everyone. So, this is a very engaging set of CIOs, and we have Mr. Gupta as well from the business side, Managing Director, South Asia and Middle East. Nice. Hi, sir. Mr. Sanjay Gupta. Hi, sir. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Jatinder. Hello, everyone, and good to be here. And welcome to all the panelists. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. So the topic for today is exceptional customer service, exceptional customer experiences, which we have been talking about. So I would like to start with Mr. Sanjay Kotha. Sir, how do you see the real value chain of technology integrations in providing exceptional customer service and experiences by while we are talking about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, reaching out to customers in while integrating these technologies? How have you seen the transition transition is happening in an effective manner? If you can share some of the points from your references and set the context, then we can move ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Jinder, for that. And before we kind of go into the technology, I think the subject is very important about exceptional customer service, and why do you need it in the very first place? I think if we set that context, and then we figure out how can we kind of achieve it and what would be those means and modes to do. To put it very simple, you want to make your customer feel special. You want to be part of the journey of the person or the customer who eventually becomes part of your business. You want to go beyond customers' expectation. You want to create that aha moment. You use a word called delight some time back. So you don't satisfy these customers, but you delight them. You don't wait for them to ask. You do something, in advance and, surprise them. It also helps you to be ahead of your competition. You are able to move much more faster with your exceptional customer service, and which doesn't exist in vacuum as such. And so the experience from your customer life cycle, be it from pre-sales to post-sales, becomes therefore so critical. And for a customer from the other side, he would expect all of this without any friction or minimum friction or inconvenience, which is very critical, and they are comfortable. And I think that's what we have been doing through ages. Given the technology, whether the buzzword at some point I was CRM, customer relationship management, and we had many of the partners where you had the customer data, you used to do kind of analysis, build a dashboard. But now coming to the subject of AI, ML, and any of the channels, all the omni channels, you look at the edge devices coming into play, you look at the mobile channels, or today we have chat bots, we have the web experience and all. I think it's definitely creating a big shift arrangement, and there are live examples to see that. When you want to be exceptional to the customer, how much of that customer you really know? At some point in time, you had to really bring in and put queries. So what we do today is, with the historical data, the behavior patterns of these customers for the various services, you are able to anticipate the need, or you're able to anticipate what's missing and what is not missing. So it is making organizations to become much more agile and create services, products, and platforms which are able to, manage these few critical imperatives for customers and give that service. I'll give an example in one of the electricity businesses, and I know many of you, I don't know how many of you are our consumers for Adani Electricity in Mumbai, but this is where, the COVID time, there was huge amount of hush fuss around all the electricity, the bills and stuff like that. Look at, within days, we were able to create an opportunity where we didn't have to send a lineman to every place, every house to read the meters, because the smart meters still are a little bit away, where a customer on his own could go look at the meter reading, just WhatsApp the details, and their bills would get generated, and they would know that, okay, they're not getting inflated bills, or after 3-4 months. Likewise for our gas customers. So the power you want to give the customers to know what they need and how are they able to simply do it, I think would define, and these technologies are really making us make that happen. And these channels are actually becoming so critical and so important. I think AI plays a huge role, a lot of man and machine which is working together, and I think they will not go away. So it is an and for me when it's about man and machine working to meet those customer needs. So technology is playing a very critical role, and we are consuming this technology day in, day out for our not only retail customers, but for our B2B customers as well. So the time to market in that particular aspect becomes much more faster, because there are transactions with B2B customers, whether it's about services, it's about delivery, about the payments and all. How can you make the life cycle much more faster, and looking at this pattern? So we are consuming, we are building one of in our Adani ports and SEZ, we are building one of the largest data lakes, which is having all the structured and unstructured data coming in for all the customers. And there's a lot of data science team which has been put in place to kind of start working on it, be it about predictive analysis, be it about preventive things happening, what you don't want to do, what mistakes you don't want to do with the customer, which you have done in the past, and learning from those mistakes faster. So great amount of work is happening on that side. So let me pause here and pass it on, and I'll come back.
Thanks, Sanjay ji, for setting the context. And you rightly said, basically, it has to be the customer experience. Organization have to have the readiness to give more of something that is strictly necessary or expected. And beyond technology, first is I think what's critical is to be empathetic and a solution-driven approach to each and every query or a challenge that a customer is facing, and in fact the preventive measures which you briefly touched upon, that's also very important. I would like to move to Mr. Eklag Bari to understand more on it, and to take his views on exceptional customer experiences, and also want to understand that why are more CIOs now focusing on customer experience? What has really triggered in last couple of years? Thanks.
Let me answer the second part of the question first. What has triggered is what Sanjay referred to as technology is playing a bigger and a greater role. And the technologies that are becoming available now, mainly through the use of AI and ML, IoT, blockchain, these are all enablers to customer experience. And that is why, and CIOs are in charge of technology, so it's natural that CIOs will get involved. There are a couple of things that Sanjay said. He said that, we have been doing this for ages. I completely agree to that. And I want to oversimplify for better understanding what outstanding customer experience translates, at least to me, and how when I speak with business and business leaders, how do they talk about customer experience? I'm reading a book called Atomic Habits, James Clear, and there are several other books that say that human beings are wired to be lazy. All right, human beings are wired to be lazy. So, and we want to expend the least amount of effort to get something, right? That's the basic human need that you're addressing, irrespective of which business you are in. When the airplanes got in, so customer experience is about two things: reduce the customer effort and maximize the value that you're giving to the customer. Okay. So, for example, when airplanes got invented, it reduced the customer effort from traveling from point A to point B, and the value you give from the economy class to the business class to the first class is about the value that you're giving to the customer. There are many shapes and forms that customer effort takes. When you tell a customer that the product is going to come in 15 days and the customer is having to follow up 2-3 times, that's customer effort, not great customer experience. When you tell the customer you have to upload 13 docs, your arm and your leg, that's customer effort, right? When you're providing a lot of choices to the customer, like Amazon does or Starbucks does, that is also providing value to the customer. And sometimes when you are able to recommend a product that the customer wants right in the first go, then also you're reducing the customer effort. So at the end of the day, at least in my personal opinion, I don't find this on internet or anywhere else, but for me, it is about what is the value that you're giving to the customer, whether it is a product or a service, and the price, and what is the effort the customer is having to expend to get that. You get this balance and you keep on improving this over a period of time, and that's what exceptional customer experience means. Now, how are you going to reduce the effort and how are you going to increase the value? Technology plays a huge role in reducing customer effort, whether it is auto-populating fields by hooking onto an external database so that the customer doesn't have to fill up the fields, or reducing the turnaround time for delivery by algorithms and by logistics. There's a whole host of interventions using various technologies that will help businesses reduce the customer effort and maximize the value that you're providing to the customer.
Sure, sir. I mean, that's you said it rightly, that you need to understand your customer and how to increase the value at regular intervals. That's how you need to make that journey possible.
Reduce the effort the customer
reduce
is
the
having.
effort. Yeah,
Yes.
reaching out to you need to reduce that effort, absolutely. And so just if you could just explore a bit more. When you say that reducing the effort, obviously you need a lot of technological interventions and process automation, and also you need to make sure that the frictions which Sanjay also talked about, they are even if there are frictions, you need to have those methodologies to remove that in frictions at the earlier stage. And if there are some flaws, you need to accept that and you need to remove that as well. That's what customer experience is all about. If you can elaborate a bit more on the role these new age technologies are playing, and in your capacity as a CIO, how have you transition to these new technologies and integrate it in your customer interfaces? If you can just throw some light on that, that would be good.
I am extremely new to Jubilant Foodworks, so therefore my knowledge on how Jubilant is doing it is limited. But what I can tell you is Jubilant is extremely customer focused. I mean, it's not focused; they're obsessed with customer satisfaction.
Right.
They regularly measure every day through multiple customers using technology. They measure what is called a customer NPS, Net Promoter Score, know who are promoters and detractors, takes action on its detractors, and this is on a bedrock of technology. I also want to illustrate a point that great customer experience does not necessarily mean great technology. You don't necessarily have to have very sophisticated AI, ML, algorithm, blockchain, or IoT to deliver good customer experience. They're not necessary, although they can be helpful. To give you a simple example, when you go to Zomato to order, right, or any other place, just repeat your last order, right? And giving that's not a great use of, you're not using a very sophisticated algorithm, but you have thought what the customer may want. You are anticipating that, and you're giving that option that if you want to reorder whatever you ordered last time, it is one click. Even the checkout on Amazon or Flipkart is different. And once you have bought the product, keeping you informed, your product has been shipped, your product has been dispatched, the delivery guy has entered the gate, the delivery guy is now taking off his raincoat. I'm exaggerating. But this is where, and behind this is all technology, right? You're keeping the customer informed, you have reduced the effort to the customer, and post the sale to the customer, because Sanjay made a very important point. If you provide a frictionless experience while acquiring the customer will return to you. So even customer retention, technology plays a extremely important role. It's just infinite the possibilities of technology to improve customer experience.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. That's very interesting view. Going back to, moving ahead with Mr. Murthy. So in banking, we understand the customer interfaces are obviously, it can either make you or break you. It's very critical in today's digital banking environment to make sure that your customer experience is really exceptional. So in terms of, if you can highlight some of the constraints or challenges in ensuring relevant content and interfaces at every customer touch point, and how in your sector the innovations, technological innovations are being integrated to remove those hindrances and provide better experiences. If you can throw some light on that, will be great.
Thanks, Jatinder. I think from a customer service experience point of view, Sanjay and Iklaq have touched upon what what is the importance of giving the right kind of experience to them. As Sanjay rightly mentioned, the frictionless onboarding, which Iklaq also has endorsed it. That's the first thing, right? From a customer experience in banking, it's very important aspect of every strategic approach to meet the demands of the customers, right? Banks especially are moving towards more and more digitally transformed journeys, to deliver a consistent banking experience, be it omni-channel experience or the digital touch points. Somewhere I need to thank the pandemic period. I know a lot of digital initiative have accelerated. The things which we would have generally done in next 3 to 4 years have been actually squeezed into 6 months. From a banking perspective, especially with Kotak, I can say that we were always ahead on some of the digital initiatives, like being the first ones to launch the voice bot, which when you call the call center, you actually talk to a voice bot like an Alexa or a Google Assistant, right? Next time when you call, as Eklak mentioned, what's your repeat order? It says that last time you had this issue, why are you calling for the same issue? It learns, it tries to find out, it tries to assist you. That's it gives a value add. That's where you feel that yes, I'm being remembered, I'm being given the right kind of service. So that's one part of it. During the pandemic time, for example, the business has to go on, right? The branches were, people were not moving out. The branches were working with very minimal touch point, human bodies, etc. But what we did is we were the first bank to launch the video KYC, during the entire lockdown period. And that actually garnered us, through our mobile banking. You can just download 811 mobile banking, and you can just open the accounts within few minutes, finish your KYC, and you're onboarded, done. The wheel has to keep on going. You have to innovate yourself, right? And not only launching the product, it has to give the right value to you. It has to work well. It has to give you the right onboarding experience. Again, going back to Sanjay, what he mentioned, right? If you don't give that right kind of push at the first beginning, initial stages, you actually don't retain the customer. It takes just moments for them to move on to someone else. What the thought process from our perspective is, think millennial, right? It's like, especially for me, I keep talking to my kids more and more. What is that they look for, etc. It's mind-boggling the kind of things they talk of, what their needs are. They don't have patience. It's like you pick up the mobile, if the app is like circling, you are done. They just switch to some other app, finish, done. If you don't give the right kind of services to them, that actually doesn't work. So from a perspective of banking experience, we do a lot of things, giving the right kind of accessibility, provide real-time assistance to them, personalized service, very important. You have to sell what I want. You can't just push down what generally the bank wants to sell, right? You can't sell a baseline credit card to a high net worth individual. You should know who you are calling, right? Given the right kind of service, I use your data well. Not many organizations use the data. Make use of big data and put analytics over it. Then use chatbots. We use chatbots a lot to give the right kind of service to the clients, right? Then I would say, AI and ML. These are the things which we are putting use on a regular basis in many of our services which we provide to the clients, right? I would say, humanize digital. Make digital just work like humans. You won't require many humans there. So from this point of view, I think these are all the various touch points which we are working on, trying to give the best experience to the end users and clients.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Murthy. And you rightly said, in fact, I also, during the lockdown, I also opened up my account in Kotak, and it was very smooth. You rightly said it was very smooth. I tried with, I tried other interfaces of some of the other banks as well, but for the experience with Kotak was really smooth. I think the WhatsApp based mechanism which you have introduced, and which automatically triggered a consumer to immediately download, and then KYC also, you can fix up a time, and people, representative from the bank, automatically they call you to have that done. So I think that's a great innovation, and I'm sure it must have garnered you some number of new customers during the last 1.5 to 2 years.
Thanks.
So With that, I would like to move to Mr. Deepak from Asian Paints. Sir, customer experience in what have been the new innovation reaching? We have been talking about reaching out to customers in an innovative way. In being one of the largest company in house paint and the painting services, how have you what are the new things which you have done? I'm sure it must have been a different kind of challenge altogether for some of the users or some of the customers who wanted to renovate their homes, but perhaps due to the pandemic, the limited consultancy options. So, did you actually create some new interactive mechanism, apps-based mechanism, where they can figure it out which color would fit and probably how to make their homes special? Are there any new touch points which you have created during the pandemic?
Yeah, just to give you a context, at least our philosophy on customer experience has been that you have to have the mechanisms to constantly understand what's changing for the customer.
Right.
And if those are strong, then you are relevant to the customer, and we've been
Right.
doing that for so many years, right?
Yeah.
We've been market leaders for more than 50 years now,
Absolutely.
and precisely because of our own people, process, and technology, the entire framework being able to do that extremely well. And the other fact about the way we operate is we've always looked at digital being very crucial and critical in creating differentiators. That's why we say we have been a very digital oriented mentality or mindset from the very beginning, and most of those investments which we had made pretty early did come in play when during COVID times. But from a broader customer experience point of view, my view is that the way I see it is you have experience which would be physical, which could be human, and could be digital. The physical is more in terms of how the physicality of the place is. Like when you walk, certain international airports, you really love them because of the way the layouts are, the way things are kept. The physical element of it. Then there's a human element, human experience, where a human being actually is very critical to it. There are like some of the hotels I go into, they actually, there's no technology in their hand, but they still give you a warm, as if they know you, they've been servicing you for long, and they know your preferences. And third is the digital, where you typically get the Netflixes of the world and all the pure digital experiences. They know exactly how you operate, what are your preferences, and they keep servicing you. And so now all these three experiences would come together and create a different level of magic. And that's precisely what Asian Paints we keep trying to keep tracking. What experience matters at what touch point for the customer. Now, a customer in our context is today when you want to go about doing your house, it may be the walls or the space between the walls, you want to decorate that. Now there is a certain element of inspiration, right? You need to inspire the customer to dream. You need to spark his imagination, and you need to really aid him in making a good choice. And once he does that, he gets into a zone of really, should I be trying and testing and seeing how it looks on my walls, how it looks on my in the context of my house. And then in the current context, post pandemic or in the pandemic, he wants it to be touchless, he wants it to be safe. All of that is included, and we still need to deliver that dream home office. And then eventually, how do you service him or give him that assurance that a good job is done? Now throughout this, the experiences could be a mix of physical, digital, and human. And there is a layer below that in terms of technologies which is going to really help you deliver these experiences. For us, since we before the pandemic, we have been really we've sort of been heavily investing in a lot of these technologies. They came to the fore during the pandemic. Like for example, the dealers today typically call the contact center, and Sanjay Gupta knows our contact center very well. He was key to a lot of investments there, and it's a physical call. But over the years, we have been deploying a lot of self-service channels. We have deployed dealer portals, we have deployed more mobile apps for the dealers. A WhatsApp bot is there, a chat bot is there. So all that had been deployed before the pandemic. So when the pandemic came, we saw that the channels got shifted to these self-service channels, and business continued. They doubled nearly. From 15-20% of what was business was coming through self-service channels, now is at 40% plus. So that is forward investments which we kept purely from a experience point of view. Or the contractors, you see our contractors who come and paint your houses. We already digitized the ecosystem, and in the pandemic we were able to actually send in their redemption points straight into the bank accounts because we had that entire thing looped in. Within the pandemic, we introduced a lot of new services which we realized the customer wants. Safety became the top priority. Like then the customer needs is changing. Previously it was something else, but during the pandemic, I want it to be very safe. And we launched a safe painting service. We launched a sanitizer range as well. The same factories which are manufacturing paint, we were able to set up, have a setup where we could actually market sanitizers. And May last year, we were selling a lot of sanitizers, and we still continue to do. And we equipped our entire contractor work teams with sanitizers, safe kits, the dealers' shops were sanitized. So people found it comfortable going there. Consultations were done remotely, where people were not open to a physical consultant coming to your home. So we launched a consulting service which was remote. So we shared a link, we saw their homes, we had color consultants able to give and decor consultants. We launched a decor service which talks about doing the entire home. That is a space between the walls, what a typical interior designer does. So we have tie-ups. We have our own brands of kitchens and bathroom fittings. We had tie-ups for other elements like wardrobes, furniture styles. So we get it all together, and that's where a technology layer was set in to manage their entire interaction. Yeah. So the pandemic threw a lot of opportunities for us to really surge ahead into a business which we believe is the future, and a lot of it is very, very digitally driven. And we're trying to move very brick and mortar companies now really getting into a zone where it is becoming technology first.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Deepak, for sharing that perspective. Right, I mean, technology has played a pivotal role, especially in the last 2 years, to create innovations and deliver new age mechanism. Would like to understand from Sanjay Gupta ji, how is NICE leading this digital customer experience journey and enabling organizations to empower their employees, reach out to their customers effectively, and deliver positive experiences around the globe?
Sure, thanks. First of all, I think very valuable points spoken about customer experience, the importance of customer experience, and move to the digital piece, which is very, very critical. And I agree that pandemic definitely has accelerated the entire digital transformation in every organization. I would like to sort of dwell on where we are heading from. Importance of customer experience is known to everyone. I mean, for the last 2 decades, everyone knows that customer success and customer experience is key to the organization's success. And unless you get that right or create that aha moment or delight or whatever you call it, there is no competitiveness that you have, right? Because that's a key differentiator for you. But I think the step that we are moving now is moving towards digital, definitely, which is allowing us to enrich the reach of the brand or the organization to different consumers based on their demographics, language, choice of channels, or whatever they want to do, and keeping in mind. We've been talking about SMAC for more than a decade or two, and we are seeing those being deployed in various forms. You have heard that today as well. But I think the need from now really is to move towards smarter customer services, right? Digital channels are there. There are channels in silos, but how do you make them smarter? And this is where the focus really is of all the leading organization, using the power of the data, which is coming using AI and ML algorithms. And how do you really utilize this data, which is being collected over the years through different channels, right? Today, each channel is doing its job, but do you really have a joint customer journey? Do you have a situation wherein a customer, you talked about your banking experience, do you have a choice whether you started your conversation or transaction into one channel, Can you progress into another and culminate into the third one? Do you have the transformation there? I think that is where we are working towards. And using AI, it's really helping, because every channel generates data, as I mentioned, and these are all unstructured data. But why do you need this, right? One, you need to build a better knowledge about the customer. And where I'm leading really is not about customized service. I'm leading towards hyper-personalization. We are in the zone of hyper-personalization, and we're leading towards that. The second piece, we're talking about building better automated experiences, right? So whether you talk about self-service or anything, experience should be seamless and transparent. And the third piece, which is the most critical and will be the differentiator, is identifying opportunities for proactive conversations with your customer, so that the customer doesn't really need to come to you. You are proactively reaching out and fulfilling the needs. And you can only do this when you have enough knowledge about this. And there are AI models, there are AI tools which are available now, which can actually give you that deeper insight. And the scale is just sort of gone, much larger. Earlier, you were able to do this personalized treatment probably for your top customers or HNI customers or whatever. But now imagine you need to do this consistent experience to all of your customers. Then there's a different ball game altogether, right? So that's why you need to know your customers much deeper. You need to pitch the product at the right time, right place, in the right intensity, and then you will be able to make a differentiation. So those are the areas that we are essentially working on. We are sort of enabling organizations to make sure that they utilize the data and know their customer, to create that knowledge. Second piece we are helping a lot is in terms of guidance, right? How do we really pitch and connect the brand with the consumers in the right way? Today, I'll give you an example, and I think Mr. Murthy talked about that. Youngsters do it in a very different way. I'm not sure how many would you agree, but this is a verified data that 80% of your consumers don't even come to your brand directly, and they try to look elsewhere, right? Only 20% will reach out to you by different ways, maybe calling a call center or sending a WhatsApp or a chat or an email or whatever that matter might be. But you are actually missing an opportunity of about 80% consumers directly interacting with you. Take a case in point of Apple. Most of you are using Apple phones. How many times have you called the Apple contact center or tech support for knowing a feature or something? All you will probably do is go to web engine and search, and you might get a forum or you might get a third-party content, and that will be all. You really don't need anything else. Now imagine the power of AI, which actually can divert the traffic, which from the search engine onto your brand directly, and that is where the real fun will begin. The fourth thing really is, we talked about mobility. I'm talking about native mobility here, in-app experience, right? Mr. Murthy touched upon that too as well, as to how intuitive your app is, and can you converse in that app and complete the transaction, right? It's not about just one-way communication, but a two-way communication. Intelligent automation is the fifth piece. Why? Because today, whatever automation we are doing by using bots and RPAs, this is commercialized automation in my view, because you're already, done some process and removed the error factor, and you've sort of improvised and expedited the entire process. But is that really intelligent? Does it change based on what your customer wants? I think that's where we need to get to. And the lastly, as I mentioned about proactive conversational AI, that's the name of the game, wherein the conversation has to be based on what the customer's proactive intent is, and then you are able to supersede the expectations. So these are some of the areas that we are really working right now with leading organizations, to sort of transform their customer journey into a smarter digital experience.
Great. Thanks, Sanjay ji. I think you rightly said, putting intelligence at the core of each and every interface, and proactively diagnosing all the issue, so that remedies can be suggested in a very aggressive way. That's going to change the game. And technologies like artificial intelligence, automation, they are going to be very, very, very crucial as well. But all these technology integration, as far as data is concerned, we have lot of data, and these technology interventions are also they are being leveraged by organization, but these they also come up with new set of challenges which were unforeseen, and we have seen the security aspect, security breaches emerging in a big way. So from each one of you, I would like to understand, how do you think the customer experience shaping up in in 2022, or in the post-pandemic scenario, what we can talk about, and what could be some of the bottlenecks these technology interventions may have, where more innovations are required. So Sanjay Kothaji, we can start with you. I mean, quickly, if you can deliberate on this aspect, and then we'll reach out to everyone. Thanks.
Okay, so well, we spoke about the technologies, be it blockchain, be it video chat, be it the bot supporting the human element, or any other technologies which are the app experience and all will keep on happening. I think the omni-channel, experiences, they will keep on happening. I think 2 points which are very important. What I believe is that at the end of the day, for any organization to know is about the behavior and pattern of the customers. And when you look at the intelligent analytics today, of course, which is having an engine of AI, ML being there. And if you are able to define your customer through the interconnected web form, looking at their buying patterns, their social media activities, interests, online searches, any pattern which you look at, and many other data points will define how you want to improve the experience. As Sanjay said, that the data is everywhere. You don't go to Apple. I mean, I was thinking on myself. I have been using Apple for ages now, but I have never been on their site because somewhere you find some solution to your problem. And today it's hardly that you go on a web and you like some product, and any of the social media apps which I have, and that product keeps on coming in front of my eyes, is how they personalize and that hyper customer experience is going on. While it is great on one side, other side is that, are we trying to make it too complex? Are we bugging this customer with so much of data being thrown back through all the media and all the channels? Wherever you go, I see the same shoe which I saw in one of the websites, which I liked, but I didn't want to buy it. Now, wherever I go, those shoe patterns keep on hitting my eyes time to time. Do I really want them? Because I don't want them. I didn't want to buy them at that point in time, but they keep on coming to my eyes. So I think, is it also that we are, after having so much of data and being able to process this data much faster in today's world than we could do in the past, where an agent had to look at previous customer history to define what problem this customer had, who gave him the solution, and so on and so forth. But today it's so fast and quick, and your AI bots are telling you that, why did he call last time, how many times he called, just with a click of, I blink. Now, I think we are at the same time have to be cognizant that, are we giving the same data, same knowledge back to the customer, probably which they don't want to consume at that point in time. So is it that we need to keep it simple, and how much of proactiveness has to happen? What is the balance between organization and the customer, where we don't go and attack into their privacy moments and keep on bothering them? I think that's very critical, because while we allow them to have payment options so beautifully on any of these sites, or the refunds, but how do we manage and see that they feel trust, that I don't get all the credit cards? And how do I create that trust environment today? As you said, cyber continues to haunt us day in, day out, and the bad guys, whatever we try to do, continue to be a few steps ahead than us. And that trust factor, that fear factor does continue in the space. So I think it's better, in my view, that we still continue with these technologies to keep things simple, and not clutter and create so much of complexity within the customer environment. Let me pause there.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Kotha, for sharing your perspective, and others, please also share your add to what Mr. Kotha has mentioned. The question is same for you as well. So what could be the new bottlenecks, and where technology interventions are needed to drive the future of customer experience? Where do we see technologies playing even more crucial role? Mr. Murthy, if you can add on that.
Yeah, so I agree with Sanjay, right? Quite a few things he has already mentioned. With the technology comes, the biggest one is security and integrity of your data and your applications. That's very important. That's becoming a challenge day on day. The more you implement technology, it's becoming a headache and challenge for the guys who manage it, right, at the back end. And second one, I would say is, whatever you implement, keep it simple. Don't complicate it too much, in the name of technology, right? Just let users use it. Just pick up a mobile and use the simple application and keep it simple. That's what I would say. In the name of technology, don't actually complicate it too much, right? Third thing is, whatever you implement, make sure it runs well. You have enough capacity, you have enough roadmap to take the spikes and all. Make sure your service doesn't break, right? You may have the best of technology, you have built a supersonic rocket, but if it doesn't take off at the right time, there's no value to it. So build a robust technology which gives a consistent experience. Don't let it worsen, right? That's very important. When we have seen in cases of some of the organizations, right, it really creates a ripple for the entire industry as per se, right? The perception sets in, right? Third thing is, turn around the implementation time quickly and launch your product at the right time, which gives you the right value to your clients. Understand your clients. Don't run after technology just because someone else has implemented that. I too need to implement that, and I want to do cloud. I want to be in blockchain. I want to do this. Just don't jump into that. Understand what is the right need for you and your clients. Implement that technology. Keep it simple. Just take charge of your business. That's it. These are a few things which I wanted to mention.
Thanks. Thank you, Murthy ji, for adding to that. And security and integrating it with every interface is, as you said, it's extremely critical. And perhaps nobody would know it better than you at the from the banking domain. Moving ahead with the same question to Mr. Ikhlaq Bari. Sir Jubilant, you said that obviously the customer is the king for you, and you have been maintaining that for ages at the outlets, massive increase in your pizza outlets, and I'm sure it must be, you must be dealing with a lot of data, like Mr. Murthy and Sanjay Kota has mentioned, a huge amount of, tremendous amount of data which is being generated. So in your perspective, how difficult or complex is for you to integrate security at each and every aspect, especially in the light of data breaches which are happening at a faster pace, while ensuring that customer also gets similar kind or even better kind of experience every time they interact with your new digital interfaces?
Right. So, as digital increases, so will the need for security, and it is a bit of a cop and robber game, where the robber is going to have a more sophisticated technology before the cop has it, and eventually the police is going to have it, and that game goes on. But to answer your question directly in terms of how do you get security embedded, I'll answer that, and I also want to add to a point that was made earlier about serving the same ads and respecting the privacy. But I'll come to that later. For security, okay, and it's good that we are talking it from a point of view of customer experience. Intuitively, and based on experience also, security and convenience do not go together. All right. If there was no security at the airport, you would be able to get onto your airplane faster. Okay, that's just a given. But security is absolutely necessary. And what you got to do, and this is how I explain this to my security and my IT guys, is that think about the airport security. What you don't want is no security. Okay, that's not something that you want. You want security, but you don't want long queues. Okay, so the first thing is balance security with convenience in a way Just like you would manage very small queues at the airport, you ensure that there is security, but the customer experience does not suffer. That is extremely important. The second thing is build security into your processes, into your software development process, into your software deployment process, into your operational support process, into your after sales service process. Everywhere security is embedded into the process, then things will take care of themselves. But if you wake up one day, there has been an attack somewhere, now I got to do something about this, and I got to buy this tool or that, then you will go up and down on your security posture. And the last but not the least, with respect to security, is people usually forget, and this is happening, KRC would be able to vouch for it, is that people have just become fancy with the tools. EDR खरीद लो, antivirus खरीद लो, anti-ransomware खरीद लो, perimeter खरीद लो, WAF खरीद लो, CASB खरीद लो. मतलब the number of tools that people are talking about is humongous, and people are so busy in choosing and implementing these tools that they forget that tools are only 33% of the answer. The other 33%, actually now it is 25%, it is tools, process, and people. People forget the process side of things, the people side of things, and the fourth dimension that I've added myself, personally, is data. So earlier things used to run on people, process, and technology. Now it's people, process, technology, and data, which is where you started the question from. So one must have a holistic view when thinking about security, not only about tools, but also what processes you have embedded within the organization, what kind of people that you have, and how are you managing and leveraging data. That's on the security piece. I just want to make a quick point on the on leveraging technology for customer experience, and to the point on privacy that was made by Sanjay. Yeah, I also get irritated by, go to every site and it is the same bloody ad, and it does not even look pretty, right? They're trying to make it pretty, but it looks ugly. The two banners on the side, and so not only it looks ugly, and it also gives me jitters that, okay, they're intruding into my privacy. And that brings me to a very important portion of how we use technology for customer experience. There needs to be a feedback loop from the customer to your action, right? There is nothing that you will get perfect in the first go. You have to imagine that you will be imperfect and you will remain imperfect forever. But the important thing is, what is the customer saying? What is the feedback from the customer? Am I taking that feedback from whichever channel? Sanjay Gupta from spoke about, multi-channel, omni-channel. Important, extremely important that you get all of this feedback from various channels. You take that into account, and then you decide upon the next set of actions based on your customer feedback. And you got to keep this loop going. And technology plays a vital role in getting this feedback going.
Thank you, Eklakji. I think that's a good perspective to make sure that you're generating new and positive experiences for your customers. I'll quickly move to Mr. Deepak Bhosle, to understand. I mean, something which is not widely understood. We all have been we are talking about customer experience, but it's also critical to note that delivering exceptional customer experience actually starts with your own people. If your people are not satisfied and they are not happy with the tools and processes, which we briefly touched upon in the session, then I mean it's not possible for you to have to create positive experiences for your customers. So how that is going to change, and how digital technologies are going to play a role in that, if you can share your perspective, sir.
I was coming to the people part of it, and while technology can do a lot of things, finally it is for interactions where you have a human interacting. It is that human being presence of mind presence of heart and soul, which actually makes the big difference, right? You can actually really bring in exceptional experiences purely through how the human interface there manages these interactions. See, what technology has done is just aid that human being to even take a quantum jump in delivering that experience. Today a lot of customer insights get mined, and at every touch point the customer goes through. Like today, our customer moves from physical stores to digital to physical stores. So the agent needs to be aware, or the human interface needs to be aware. Okay, this customer Sanjay Gupta has come in from the website. He's like floral designs on his wallpapers. The human needs to understand that, okay, there is a certain journey which is already traversed. I need to further build upon the customer's choice. I need to help him converge, and that connect with the brand needs to be there. The human interface needs to be passionate about making that change there. The interface needs to really operate with a certain sense of purpose, so that whatever is getting thrown as next best action by the technology systems need to some way be used to really change the bring in the context to the discussion, bring in that seamlessness, bring in that personalization, and it's like the popcorn, right? It needs to pop up. The human interface needs to be popped up, and in that sense is pretty critical for me. And you need to undertake a lot of these change management initiatives within your organization in terms of making them aware of the product, making them getting in their buy-in to the brand, because a lot of our customer experiences are delivered through employees, probably to people who might not be employees. A lot of people operate out of contact centers, out of outsourced agencies. We need to make them feel like they are our employees, and and the customer is extremely important to them. The second element is about the entire leadership. Today, the CIO, the CMO, or the CSO, CFO, all of them need to come out of their silos and work. It's like Superman and Batman coming together. Once they come in, they form a different force. The Superman is giving all the ammunitions to the other CXOs, and once they are able to come together, the type of transformation you can cause in this space is of a different order, and that can only come if everybody is single-mindedly bound to one objective, which is your vision for the customer. In our case, we say we want to bring joy to our customers. We all will work to do whatever we do. We'll have to bring joy to the customer, and that needs to be understood by the CFO, by the CIO, and the other entities, and that percolates down across. Okay, so everybody, even the IT guy, when he's writing a code, he knows that code somewhere is going to influence the customer, and then there's a different level of the experience which will for him as well when he delivers that code to this. So he starts thinking about how can it be made more frictionless, how can I build in those hooks within what I'm doing right away, so that it becomes easy for our customers. They have an enjoyable experience. It's easy to do business with us. And from a technology point of view, I think technologies keep coming. There are so many technologies which are there. It's for you to just pick up the right and relevant ones and do it early. I think we should. We are in an age where you have to really be ahead of others and try to be that early mover, so that you have your learnings early, you have the failures early, build on that, and by the time it becomes mature, you are actually higher on the maturity curve and able to leverage the benefit of that technology. So that's my take from a culture, from a people, and from a technology point of view.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You, I think, rightly addressed some of the pain points, and in terms of the people segment to it. I think we are coming toward end of the session. There is one question from Mr. Subodh Fadnis for Mr. Sanjay Gupta. Its question is for you, that what makes for an exceptional customer experience? Quickly, if you can share your insights, and what are the key ingredients of customer experience? How do you define? It's a very complex thing to define customer experience. If you can quickly take that question up, sir.
Sure. So I think we actually touched upon a little bit, and I really appreciate Clark and Sanjay talking about their experience of how data is thrown on the customer and what it can do. Instead of creating a positive experience, it's actually creating a irritant. And I think that's the first piece in customer experience really, is that the technology and the tools will give you enough knowledge and insight, but how do you use that insight really? And we all know that knowledge supports potential customers indefinitely in their purchasing decisions. But to create a positive experience, it only happens when you know how to use the data up to the right depth and in the right place, not to overload or not to overwhelm anybody, which otherwise have a negative impact. So the first piece really is the intensity of it, and this can only happen when you actually modulate and use some of the new technology tools to refine the data to go down that, right? It's not about just knowing the preferences in terms of language or demographics or the choices really. It's actually going beyond. It's going much beyond into the lifestyle of the consumers based on your tools and the interactions that they've had. The second piece is really the proactiveness, right? The exceptional service will only come when you are more proactive. So you have to fix the problems before they occur. And knowledge projection is really is a key here, which is designed to do this, wherein you are actually able to resolve the customer problem before they even know that it existed ever. And that's really creates the most important customer experience. And lastly, I would say, streamline the conversations. Clark talked about that multi-channel, omni-channel, and take the feedback and consolidate. That's exactly what I'm saying, that all the feedback that's coming through it, that will give you a good knowledge management process and actually deliver an experience wherein your customers will really be loyal to that brand as opposed to really moving away. So streamlining is very important. Any feedback coming in, any insight coming in from any channel should be available to all the channels to know that this is what the customer is saying, and the experience has to be consistent across this.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective. And it was such an insightful discussion with all our esteemed panelists, understanding about the overall customer engagement strategies, and to get overview of some of the bottlenecks that that companies are facing, and how to moving forward, how to create exceptional experiences by further streamlining people, processes, and technologies. So with that, we come to an end. It was, I mean, I would like to thank each one of you for sharing your wonderful perspective, and it was a pleasure hosting you. Thank you everyone. Thanks to all our audience who have attended this session and stayed with us throughout the day. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Thank you.